My grandfather, Guy Williams, he started a good thing here. At that time was Guy Williams Masonry. And he built a reputation quickly of quality and honesty. But I think when my father and mom bought the company in 1994, it was Dad's calculated risk, his ethic, his lead by example, of course, his get it done attitude that slingshotted us into a few key projects.
It shows a great amount of respect to him from his kids to say, hey, Dad, you were such an influential person in our lives, and what you've been able to do, we want to be able to do the same thing, and we want to be able to carry this on. And to extend that even into Guy, Weston and Kyle, they've had, they saw Guy do it, and then they saw their dad do it, and their mom was a big part of this company for a really long time. And
of course, my relationship with Anton's pretty obvious. I'm his son. Of course, that being, known him forever. Always grew up watching him commit to his business and his trade. And I think at a really young age, I determined that I wanted to do what he was doing, to build and be a part of this company, this industry.
I met Anton in the early 90s, and we actually worked together for a couple of years, setting stone and stuff like that out in the field. Several jobs, High Park Baptist Church in Austin, Notre Dame Catholic Church in Kerrville, and several more that we worked together right in the field.
If there wasn't a lot of work, or there wasn't a lot for Dad to estimate, and maybe crews were limited, him and Victor would take on a stone job themselves. They would go put up stone parapets, arches, keystones, all on their own. He doesn't come from any no silver spoon, right? No pampering in his background. Dad comes from a long line of Polish immigrants, and he's proud of that fact, and I am too, that they had to work for everything they had. Nothing was handed to them. Everything was achieved through grit, strength, endurance, the same principles he has now.
We have our company parties and stuff, and everybody's, Anton's there, and most people avoid the owner. They don't want to be near that guy, or the owner surrounds himself with a group of friends so that the employees don't have access to him. Well, not Anton. Anton is the guy that's in the middle of everybody, and he wants to know, hey, what are your kids doing? What sports are your kids playing? How long have you guys been married? Are you guys getting married? When are you gonna have kids? Like, he genuinely cares about his people. And I think when people go to work and they realize, like, they know the guy on top and they know that he cares about who they are and what they're doing, it makes them want to show up. It makes them want to go to work.
When we were younger, a lot of what we did on the weekends was go and check on Dad at his small jobs. So, for some extra walking around money, Dad wasn't above taking on a side job. Maybe it was him and Rick Stone at the time. They would load up the truck, block, mortar, and go build somebody a garage. And some of those were in our neighborhood. And I was always proud to drive by those and know that, my dad's a business owner, but, he also built that too, just himself, or with, a few other guys.
Masonry's still on his mind all the time, and it's a genuine passion for him, I think. And I think he wants, in this day and age, dollars are tight. Every job is minimal budget, and Masonry is one of the first things that they seem to try to get out, at least the facade, right? They say, well, if we need to save money, we need to save money there. And it means too much to guys like Anton to just allow it to fall, and he wants to keep things going. So I think that's why he stays involved with all the organizations and everything, and the charitable donations, because he wants to make sure that for future generations, and it's not a stream of income, it's beauty. It's like you drive down the street and you see a brick building that's been there for 150, 200 years, or a stone building that's been there 200 years. You go to these modern buildings they're building now, they won't be there in 200 years. They couldn't be there in 200 years. And until people start, kind of realize that, you got to have an advocate, and you got to have somebody in that corner, and Anton's been a good advocate.
Yeah, I think the first time Dad told me lead by example, I think it was actually football. It was Pee Wee football. and he was the coach. We were the Raptors. He picked the name for some reason. And our greatest opponent was the guys from Rudd and Adams Masonry. They ran their own football team. They were the Mad Dogs. So Dad always wanted to make sure we beat the Mad Dogs. And I was linebacker, so he thought I had some leadership on the defensive side. And that was the first time he told me to lead by example. And for some reason, it stuck forever and ever. And I don't think I really knew what that meant until I saw him do it here in the office and out on the field. But I think that's most likely why folks join Shadrock and Williams and stick around, because Dad isn't sticking his head in the office telling these folks what to do and then headed to the beach, headed to the ski slopes. He stays here and he does it. And most weeks he's got the greatest amount of hours here at the office, and he's committed to doing it with everybody here on the team.
You're a good enough man that I can look at my kids in the eye and show up to work every day and say, I'm working for a guy that cares. And that's what matters, because we live in a world that a lot of people don't care. So keep going, keep pushing. We'll be here every day. I'm always in my office, and I'm always willing to sit down and have a chat with you. I don't care how busy I get. You show up and I'll shut the computer down for a while. But keep it up. You raise some great kids. I like them all. So that's a testament. A lot better than the masonry, but keep it up.